Hi everyone, I am delighted to announce that my new book, Rise of the Clones, the Cabbage Patch Babies, is now available. It took a little while longer to get published than I was hoping, and that's because I was waiting for contributor stories to come in, and the editing took a little bit longer too. But it's here. I'm going to read a few bits and pieces from it and give you a bit of a feel for it. So, to understand who we truly are, it is vital that we understand where we came from. Many of us have joined genealogy websites in the hope of uncovering our family history. But is what we have found actually real? Is Darwin's On the Origin of Species a work of fiction, or were we actually created by a superior being? Who are we? What are we? These questions have puzzled me for decades, yet it was only when I started to research the Tartarian Empire that the missing pieces started to appear. So, here are the chapters, but I'll read them out. The first one is actually the origins of human cloning, and that goes all the way back to the Elohim and Anunnaki and stories of us being genetically modified from what was a Neanderthal. Second explains why they needed to repopulate after the fall of Tartaria, and a little bit about Tartaria for people who haven't looked into that before. Then chapter 3 is all about the Cabbage Patch Babies, and this phenomenon started with a movie called The Cabbage Fairy by Alice Guy, and then a series of postcards that became popular initially in Germany, then spreading into France, across Europe, into England, and then in America as well. Chapter 4 is about the incubator babies, which Dr. Martin Cooney was the mastermind behind. He wasn't a doctor, and there was something a lot more nefarious going on there. Chapter 5 is about baby farms, where people that couldn't afford to keep their children, or unmarried mothers, would take their children in hope of them having a better life. These were then sent abroad, usually without the parents' consent. And I believe that if they were cloning babies at the time, that these were distributed through the baby farms. But it's quite dark, and a lot of babies were killed, and I've given details of the person responsible for the majority of them. Chapter 6 is about the Cabbage Patch Kids, the actual doll, and the story behind it is unbelievable, so I hope you'll enjoy that. Chapter 7 is Dolly the Sheep, and that was the first successful cloning of a mammal that happened up in Roslin University, named after Roslin Chapel, that people that follow Freemasonry and the Knights Templar will recognise. The first sheep was cloned there. She's named Dolly after Dolly Parton because she came from mammary cells, and she went on to conceive twice, and she had a couple of siblings as well. So for those that think that clones can't reproduce, Dolly's been doing it, and a very successful US racehorse now actually works as stud on a large farm in America. Chapter 8 is about inbreeding, why it's done, and why it's important to certain families. Number 9 is cloning in the movies, and this gives examples of movies that have focused really the main subject of the movie itself on cloning, and those that have hidden it in plain sight too. Chapter 10 is celebrity cloning and cloning centres. This is information that I gained from Donald Marshall. Now he is the person that really brought this to everybody's attention, and he's worth researching. Unfortunately, here in the UK you can't get onto BitChute anymore, but there might be information on YouTube, and he has got some books on Amazon. I've been speaking to someone who claims to be Donald Marshall, but I've also been told that he died in 2012. The people involved will surprise you. Chapter 11 is all about Disney, and there's some interesting information where they actually have come out and said on a live broadcast during a breakfast show several years ago that they were cloning. It was tongue-in-cheek, but I've given some information on also what goes on at Disney in the theme parks too with regard to children. Chapter 12 is about Clonaid, and that was founded by a French former racing driver called Rail, who claims to have been contacted by the Elohim, who are also referred to as the Anunnaki in ways. And they own the first clinic that claims to be human cloning in Canada. That's an interesting story. 13 is about Ancestry.com and people tracing their genealogy, and who actually owns Ancestry.com and what is being done with the DNA that we're sending in, and what they're specifically looking for. Chapter 14 is about the homunculus, and this was inspired by a podcast I saw that Sol had given for the channel Mind Unveiled that he owns, and I then started digging, and a few people suggested that I included it, but I've dug deep and connected it to Jewish mythology called the Golem, and I think you'll find that quite interesting. And finally, chapter 15 is stories that have been sent in to me by people who have tried to trace their genealogy and been unable to do it. They've hit a wall. They've got to both sets of grandparents and found that they were all orphans. A story from one particular person that was trafficked from Mexico to Canada and sold from family to family, who still has been unable to get any identification, a driver's license, a job. They're considered to not exist, and there were some high-ranking people involved in that, and also information sent in by a friend of mine who's written about what happened to children specifically in Australia, and a few stories too to do with foundling homes and orphanages that people have been brave enough to share. Finally, a conclusion, and then there's an index. I've added an index to this book because I'm aware that not everybody is going to know, for example, who the Jesuits actually are, and not everybody understands maritime law and why this is significant to the moving of children and cloning. People like George Orwell, there's a bit of information on him, and Dave Chappelle, Dan Brown, the Elohim, Donald Marshall, who I mentioned earlier. So it just gives people a little bit more background on some of the societies, organisations, mythological creatures, and key people that I've written about. So rather than block up the chapters with explanations, I've done an index and included various bits and pieces and people as well. It's available hardback, which is full colour. The image is full colour. And it's available in paperback as well, which is printed in black and white. You can buy them on Amazon. My first book's available on Waterstone, so I'm imagining this one will be on Waterstones as well soon. But a Kindle is available as well if you prefer that. You can even get it on PDF by emailing me, and if anybody wants a signed copy, then contact me directly. My email details are below, and we can make that happen. I send them out all over the world every week, so it won't take too long to get there wherever you are. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your support. We reached 4,500 sales of my first book so far, and I'm blown away by the support and the interest, and getting it into Waterstones has been something I didn't imagine would happen when I first wrote the book. So for all you fans of real history, occulted history, and all things Tartarian and Cabbage Patch like, get in touch if you'd like a copy. Anyway, thank you, and bye for now.